Hello. My name is Aniruddha, and I welcome you to another quick watercolor demo with me. In today's video, I am going to be painting a pink robin. This robin is from my Birdtober series, which I completed last month. I have spoken at length about Birdtober in 2 or 3 of my previous videos. So if you're curious to learn what this challenge is all about, you can go check those out. What made this pink robin such a challenging subject for me was this pink color on his breast. It's a very unusual color to see in nature. When I had first seen photos of this bird, I just thought it was something someone made on Photoshop. I don't have such a hot pink watercolor in my palette. So what I chose to do was use a water-soluble pencil. I've been using water-soluble pencil to sketch this entire series of birds, and luckily I had one which was very similar to that hot pink. The bird has two distinct colors, a pink breast area and a slaty blue back. In this painting, I don't want that pink and that slaty blue to interact with each other. So I'm going to paint those two sections separately. First the pink section, then the slaty blue section. While the first application of that pink is still wet, I am going to add another layer there, wet in wet, to create depth. I'm adding a neutral mixture, which is a mix of ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. By now you might have already noticed that my robin is fairly different from the reference image. When painting these quick watercolor birds in about 30 minutes, my aim is to get the proportion and the posture of the bird to be visually pleasing and not to create an exact replica of the reference image. Just some splatter to add further texture. I'm using a Fabriano Artistico rough watercolor paper, which is 100% cotton. Texture shows up really well on rough paper. All the materials I have used in this demo are listed in the description below. Just dry brushing in some texture to ground the robin, and then we can move on to his back. I'm mixing that slaty grey using my Payne's grey and my lavender. The large black brush that I am predominantly going to use is a goat hair brush. It is very similar to a Chinese calligraphy brush. It has very little control, but it allows you all kinds of fun, playful strokes. In any section where I need more control, I can always move back to my smaller synthetic head brushes. I'm occasionally going to my small number 0 brush to pull out some of the robin's whiskers. Just a quick spray of water to keep my wash active for a little longer. Notice how I hold my brush, especially when I want to do those quick long strokes for adding some dry brush texture, broken brush texture. I hold it right back at its end. Quite often it is the brush itself which dictates how it wants you to hold it. Now that I'm done with the first lighter pass of that grey, I can add some darker color and create a sense of depth, exactly like I did for the pink belly section. Being mindful of paint consistency is super important when working wet in wet like this. This second pass of paint has to be fairly thicker as compared to the first. Otherwise, it will create cauliflower blooms. For the outer edge and the tip of the wing, the color I'm using is actually pure black, straight from the tube. A lot of artists are hesitant to use black pigment, but I have no such hesitations. I'm using my number 6 synthetic brush to create some dry brush texture there in the neck to give an impression of overlapping feathers. It's a lot easier to create such marks with the synthetic brush because synthetic bristles hold a lot less water. If you've made it so far into the video and have enjoyed what you've seen, may I kindly request you to give this video a thumbs up and perhaps even subscribe to my channel. I have a lot of exciting videos planned for the future and would really appreciate all the support I can get. Our pink robin is shaping up really nicely. I really like the variety of transitions that I was able to create so far. Because I worked wet and wet, there's some lovely smooth transitions. And to contrast those, I am now adding some dry brush texture where I think it is needed. This stage of the painting is all about adding small calculated marks and bringing it to a finish. adding some linear marks on the edge of the wing to indicate the overlap of his flight feathers. In a quick impressionistic bird like this, it is very important to pay maximum attention and add maximum detail to a bird's facial features. If you add details or sufficient details to a bird's eye and a bird's beak, you can get away with abstracting the rest of its body. Now onto the eye of our robin. I am going to start by laying down a flat layer of dark color. The dark color in this case being a Payne's grey. I initially tried to leave out some white of the paper to indicate the highlight, but eventually ended up covering that. For the sake of making a smooth video, I've sped up the process a little bit. But painting the eye in the way I am painting it is a very stop-start process. I waited for that dark paint to dry a little. Now I have come back with my small number 3 synthetic brush, which is absolutely dry, and I'm lifting a softer highlight at the bottom of his eye. I'll now use some pure white gouache straight from the tube to add that highlight that I previously mentioned. And with that, our robin is complete. So, I thank you for joining me here today, and I hope you have learned something new. If you did, I'm sure you'll also enjoy the videos which have just popped up to the right of your screen about now. I wish you a lovely rest of your day wherever you are, and hope to see you soon.